Yeah, it's Pop and Peeps. Top Legend 787 here today to go back to Pokebilities and look at one of the more important Pokemon in the metagame, Weezing. Specifically Galarian Weezing. Now, Galarian Weezing is important because of one thing. Same thing goes for normal Weezing. Neutralizing gas. Get off me, Prince. Sorry, my cat was on me. He's a good cat, but really? Prince, get off me. You're a good cat, but come on, dude. Sorry about that. But yeah, their main draw is neutralizing gas, which deactivates abilities of the opponent while the opponent is on the field. So let's say you're up against a Clefable, and you hit a poison with Sludge Bomb. Magic Guard would normally mean that Clefable would not take the damage from Sludge Bomb. From the poison after it got poisoned from the Sludge Bomb. But neutralizing gas disables its Magic Guard, which means it would take the 12% poison damage at the end of the turn. And it doesn't only work for defensive abilities, it also works for offensive abilities. Let's find a Pokemon with an offensive ability that gets disabled. Dracozolt. Hustle. You won't hit with the same power with Bolt Beak that you would if Galarian Weezing did not have neutralizing gas. Because it disables Hustle, it completely just gets rid of that massive attack power that Dracozolt would have had otherwise, due to Hustle essentially being a free choice band. And that's all really nice. To add on top of that, it's immune to spikes due to Levitate. It's immune to Sticky Web due to Levitate. The only hazard it takes damage from is Stealth Rock. And then you start to see why. That while it's definitely a good Pokemon, it is not a reliable counter to a lot. And keep in mind, I'm using the word counter and not check. Now, in my Conkeldurr video, I said that Galarian Weezing was the only true counter to Conkeldurr. Do I still believe it's a counter? Not really. The thing is, even though Galarian Weezing only takes damage from Stealth Rock when it comes to the hazards, it still takes 12.5% on every switch-in. And Black Sludge only restores 6.25% of the Pokemon's HP every time, same as Leftovers. So you're only recovering half of what Stealth Rocks is doing to your Galarian Weezing. And you could run heavy-duty boots, but then you're giving up Black Sludge. Why do we need Black Sludge, you may be wondering? Well, when we take a look through Weezing's moves, the only real forms of recovery it has are Pain Split when your opponent's at a higher HP than you, which is still pretty unreliable, because what if they switch into a Pokemon that's lower HP than Weezing? Then they gain HP and you lose HP. Then you have Protect, which only works for recovery if you have Black Sludge or Leftovers, which, yeah, Protect is a really good move, even in competitive, because it helps for things such as scouting out moves. It helps for choice-locked Pokemon and knowing what move they are going to go for the following turn. But at the same time, you're sacrificing another move slot that Galarian Weezing may end up needing, because it likes to run a lot of different moves Toxic Spikes, Strange Steam, Sludge Bomb, Clear Smog, Defog, Aromatherapy, Haze, Memento. You see, like, Galarian Weezing, like so many of these moves, and it has to choose between 4, so it's already a difficult decision, but having to choose only 3 if you go with Protect makes it even more difficult. And it really limits what Galarian Weezing can do due to the fact that it still takes damage from hazards, and it only recovers half of the damage each turn. Now, sure, only losing 6.5% on every, 6.25% on every switch in may not seem like a big deal. But you gotta keep in mind, Pokemon is a game of inches, millimeters at times even. The smallest thing can lead to the biggest outcome. And that applies with Pokemon as well. Especially when it comes to chip damage. That's why hazards are so important. And without Weezing having reliable recovery, it's really susceptible to being worn down. Okay, so it can be worn down pretty easily. Does that prevent it from being able to counter Pokemon? No, not necessarily. But look at how many Pokemon it is in place to check. Clefable, Dragapult, Garchomp, Hawlucha, Dracozolt, Conkeldurr, Heracross, Alola Marowak, Mienshao, Obstagoon, Pangoro, Tyrantrum, Machamp, Hitmonlee, Scrafty, Normal Weezing, Chinchino. All these really important Pokemon to the metagame. And because it's tasked with handling so many Pokemon by itself, it really puts a dent in how effectively it is able to stave off everything it needs to stave off. And because of that, Galarian Weezing, while still a good counter, while still a good check to Conkeldurr, oftentimes isn't a counter because it would have already taken a substantial amount of damage that it hasn't been able to recover yet, just from a Pokemon that another Pokemon that it's meant to keep in check. Like Pheromosa is another one. Quad resisting its fighting type moves and resisting its bug type moves as well. And Pheromosa doesn't have any super effective coverage for Galarian Weezing either, but will still hit quite hard with something like Triple Axle or Ice Beam. And that is why having no reliable recovery is such a big issue. Because you're meant to keep so many different Pokemon in check. And you can't do that with... That's why having no reliable recovery is a major issue for Pokemon like Galarian and Weezing. You're supposed to keep so many Pokemon in check, and you're taking so much damage in the process without being able to recover it off that you're not able to check the Pokemon that you need to. Some more examples that I forgot of Pokemon that Galarian and Weezing is meant to check. Azumarill and Diggersby, just any huge power Pokemon in general, gets its attack cut in half because of neutralizing gas, which is absolutely huge, especially when it comes to staving off attacks from them. But Galarian Weezing, even though it will take much less damage from those attacks, will still be taking damage from those attacks. And that's the thing. Sure, you may slap a normal Weezing on there just to have 2 Pokemon that have the same ability and can check, just just have two Pokemon with the same ability that can check similar Pokemon. I don't even... Okay. Yeah, species clause limits to only one Weezing, which means you have to choose between normal Weezing and Galarian Weezing, and as a result, you can only have one of these Pokemon that's meant to stave off so much, and with it getting worn down so easily, it can't do its job too effectively oftentimes. And Galarian Weezing is mainly meant for support. Like, clear smog away, things like Clefable's Calm Mind, or Conkeldurr's Bulk Up, set up toxic spikes, defog away hazards, taunt Pokemon to prevent them from getting up their hazards or something like that, haze to get rid of all stat boosts for oftentimes for steel types because clear smog can't do that for steels. Memento to cripple a Pokemon's attacking stats. Its only role that it can really play other than support is a suicide lead. With Misty Explosion and Toxic Spikes, it gets the stab and the Misty Terrain boost, but at the same time, that means you're completely wasting a potentially game-changing Pokemon. And that is why we don't commonly see Weezing or Galarian Weezing, despite the fact that it's meant to check so many, despite the fact that it can check so many different Pokemon, because it has a one major role that it does well in, but at the same time, it is very predictable and linear. And due to that, it's very easy to play around, so oftentimes it is unsuccessful in checking what it is meant to check. Does this mean it's a bad Pokemon? No, not even close, not by any means. But at the same time, when you have no way of recovering significant amounts of damage without putting yourself in a bad situation, and you have to take so much damage over the course of possibly several turns, it just makes it that much less reliable of a Pokemon. Which is why you often just see Galarian Weezing relegated to teams with unburdened Pokemon, like Hawlucha or Hitmonlee, or I don't really know anything else because Excelgor's already fast as fuck. Like, maybe Drifblim? But anyway, it's just not too great when it comes to being able to stay alive for extremely long periods of time. It's mainly used as a check one Pokemon per game and get out Pokemon. Sorry. Galarian Weezing is normally only going to be able to check one thing per game, which is really just not too great when it's supposed to be doing so much, which is the reason why you don't see it more, because its specificity and how easily it can be worn down despite wanting to counter so many things. Due to it not being able to do that too successfully, it is forced into one of two roles, being the suicide lead or a support Pokemon. And because of that, Galarian Weezing doesn't get as much use as it debatably deserves. But you gotta understand at the same time, and I definitely understand why. With all these flaws, like I said before, they don't make Galarian Weezing a bad Pokemon. They just make it much worse. Much more so the fact that it has no reliable recovery and is really susceptible to getting worn down than anything else. Because even if it just had something like recover, it would be able to check all these other Pokemon that it's meant to so well, and it doesn't. But in the state it's in, it can't do that too well because it just gets worn down from repeated attacks so quickly. Which is why having to counter so many Pokemon is less of an issue than reliable recovery. So, is Weezing bad? Not even close. Is Weezing the best? Also not even close. I'd say if I had to make a tier list, I would put Galarian and Weezing probably in a low A tier. Simply because it's good at what it's supposed to do. Support a team and provide a check for some of the most dangerous Pokemon in the tier, like Conkeldurr. But it is held back significantly by one major issue being its lack of reliable recovery. And that is why it's not S tier. One last flaw before I end the video. Galarian Weezing is often spec'd into having to go full Fizdef. Because when you look at a lot of these threatening Pokemon, a lot of them are physical attackers. Hitmonlee, Garchomp, Hawlucha, Dracozolt, Conkeldurr, Alolan Marowak, Mienshao, etc. A ton of these Pokemon are all physical attackers. So the special attacking Pokemon that Galarian Weezing is meant to counter, it can't really do that all too well. It can't do that as well as it would be able to otherwise, because it is forced to go physically defensive to check the Pokemon it needs to check. And as a result, it's extremely easy to get chip damage from something like a Thunderbolt that will last a long time throughout the game. Because of not being able to run any special defense, Galarian Weezing is significantly dented as a wall in its capability to take hits. Anyways, guys, this has been Typhlosion787, and now I'm out of the house. Bye!